I came across this because it went viral on Twitter, but I also found out that MoistCr1TiKaL, also known as Penguins, made a video about this, and I thought it was a really bad video, and it just seems really sad. It's like, when I watch this video, it's like he's trying to cash in on mental illness by framing it in the wrong way. I don't think he even properly acknowledges what's actually going on here, but to me it's just really obvious. I can understand how an untrained or a completely naive person could get the wrong idea with this, but if you're someone that's read about or experienced schizophrenia whatsoever, then it's quite unmistakable what's going on here. So I'm going to go through this. I'm going to, first of all, go over the video, then I'm going to go over the reaction to it, which I thought was really bad from this guy. Usually I think this guy's videos are pretty good and even funny, but this one was just sad, disappointing, pathetic even. And then I'm going to look at this guy's channel, because he's got other videos, and I'm going to point out observations to actually explain what's going on here, because it's not as sinister as people are making out, even though there are really overt, obnoxious aspects to this that can easily be repugnant. In any other circumstance, they would be extremely alarming and repugnant, but I'm going to go over this. So, it's an 8-minute video. He recorded his own video. He called the police, and that's what this video is about, the interaction with the police. So he basically called the police on himself by accident. And it says here, First Amendment audit. And I've been watching audit videos on YouTube for a while, and they are really interesting, but he's clearly attempting to rip off of that, and he's done it badly. And he also happens to have audit videos down here, which I'm going to look at this one. No, I'm going to look at this one because I looked at this one already, and I'm going to show you that. But first, let's watch this one.
I'm sorry.
I don't think many people are going to actually address this properly, so I'm going to try and do it. That's the motivation here. It seems like everyone doesn't even understand what's going on. And I think I've got some insight into this.
Yes, sir. I just made a call and...
Come here, let's talk. I know what's going on.
Okay, so I was going to go to Cracker Barrel. There's a girl there.
What's with the camera?
I just want to record the incident so I have it on file and can track everything.
And that's something these auditor YouTube channels all do as well. And it's pretty good practice when you're dealing with the police to just record the whole thing so that you have a record of it and so that all parties present are accountable. So he's doing that there. Like this is the thing with people that are schizophrenic. They get a lot of things right, and sometimes even really intelligent schizophrenics can appear quite normal, but they get a lot of things wrong with how they think. Their thought is disordered, but they're still capable of good thoughts and of making sense sometimes. So by recording this interaction with the police, which is something that you would usually want to do, he's accidentally incriminated himself. And also he's calling an audit. Like, he's conflating two different things at the moment. First of all, he's conflating the original event, which is what got the police involved, with what he's currently doing here with the police. Like, he's trying to do two things at once, which doesn't make any sense.
But anyways, I went to Cracker Barrel and I was going to play a song for a woman that I kind of like. Mm-hmm. And I got there and she saw me and she immediately pulled away. And I wasn't forcing her to listen or anything, you know. I just wanted to play this.
Can see the other copper there just looking over at his partner to just figure out what the fuck's going on.
Song for her, you know, give her her own choice if she wanted to be with me.
Can see him looking up and down the guy as well, trying to profile him, gauge what he's dealing with. Because I think the other coppers realise that this guy's a bit off, and he's trying to figure out how this guy's taking it and what he should make of him, how to proceed.
No.
Does she know you?
Yeah, I worked with her there for like 5-6 months.
Did y'all have a relationship?
No, we were talking a little bit, but it never really got serious.
Okay.
But anyways, I pulled up there, and I was in the other parking lot, and I saw her get in her car, and I was like, oh shoot, it's my moment. So I pulled up there next to her, and she pulled away from me, and so I chased her a little bit, just because I'm I don't know. Women are crazy. Like, I felt like she like wanted me to chase
Do you
her.
not think chasing somebody's crazy?
Well, it's just like I only went like a couple blocks down the street.
I'm just saying, don't you think chasing somebody?
So his judgment and how he's responding to this guy is really bad. He's not making things any better for himself with the stuff he's saying. He's just raising their suspicion. He's got no judgment here. He's not making it any better.
Crazy when they obviously don't want to.
Well, I had my song playing, and I wanted to like her to hear it, maybe.
Apparently she didn't want to hear it, right? So what else happened? Let's get on with the story.
Well, anyways, her father called me up, and he made some threats to me and to my life.
Okay.
And so I just want to have his name on file.
What did he say to you?
I think he said he's gonna stab me, like, but he's like cussing at me.
He said that, or he did say that?
He says I'm gonna do something to you. I swear I do something to you.
For chasing his daughter?
Yeah, but it wasn't chasing. It was like going down a couple streets. Like, that's like fun to women. Like, women like that. A little bit of excitement.
No, they don't.
Well,
Women don't like to be chased.
What about like
If I was a
porn?
father, I'd probably tell you the same thing.
What about like BDSM porn?
So, and I was just about to get to the fucking cringiest part. Everything about this is cringy so far, but it's like this is going on in the background of what's actually happening in his head. And this whole thing about auditing, it's like the whole thing just doesn't make any sense. He's not auditing anyone right now. He's currently putting himself in the position of being arrested and charged, pretty much. Like, he's watched way too many of these auditing YouTube videos. I've watched loads of them as well. And he's put in a mindset where he's comfortable calling the police and engaging with the police and recording it. And that's what made this possible, to have this be on YouTube and be watched by millions of people. This should not have been watched by millions of people. The police should have handled this. They should have diffused it. This guy should have got treatment for this at some point if this was to actually escalate. But all of this being on the internet and his disordered thoughts, his nonsense, his loose associations, his weird connections that he's making, it should not be on the internet for everyone to watch. It's embarrassing and even cringy when he starts talking about all this misogynistic shit.
Porn where women like to have rape fantasies.
Well, apparently this girl doesn't.
Well, who knows?
Really quick thinking there from that guy to respond like that. He's not having any of it.
Most women do like having rape fantasies.
Okay. Do you think she does?
I don't know, but
Apparently she don't.
well,
So what do you want us to do?
well, I just want you to get his name on file just in case he does do anything
do
to
you
me.
know his name?
I know his daughter's name.
What do you know his name?
I know her name. I don't know his name. He called me.
Another example of the terrible decision making. He doesn't even know the guy's name, and he's calling the police on him to give the police his name so it's on file when he can't even give them the fucking name. So he hasn't thought this through at all. He's basically just got overconfidence in himself that he's gained by watching these videos from auditing channels, and that's put him in the position now where he's interacting with the police. This should never have happened. The police should have been called on him, and he should have been on the defensive, and they should have questioned him and sussed out what's going on, and then decided where to proceed. But it's currently a completely inverted situation where he's the one reporting someone, and the police are quickly realising that this whole thing is just embarrassing. You can see that guy's face there.
From a restricted phone number.
Okay. Here's my suggestion.
Trying to get his ID at the moment. See if he responded to that. This guy would have probably taken it as an excuse to get into the whole, do you suspect me of a crime? And then it could have really escalated from there. But this guy's taking the lead at the moment.
Well, this was one song I made, and this was the
Leave her alone,
final
he said.
chance I was going to have.
Here's my chance. Here's my advice. It's over. Leave her alone.
Okay.
Fathers will hurt
That
you
was
over
good.
it.
That's really good from the policeman there. He's just having none of it, and he's telling him to cut it out and trying to get this over with. Because he realises that this is not going anywhere. He's not going to report him. He's dealing with a guy that's disturbed at the moment.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is she needs to have her own free will, man. You do not understand. I'm a man
Talking about free will when free will doesn't come into this right now.
myself, bro, and I have needs myself.
She's choosing her free will by telling her daddy what happened to you, and I'm telling you, stay away from her because he will hurt you probably.
She's being controlled by him.
That's fine.
She's being controlled by him, so it's an example of paranoia. I don't know if this guy's a paranoid schizophrenic, but what he just described is obviously a delusion, and he's paranoid as fuck, and he's talking complete shit.
That's fine. That's her choice, right? Free choice, free will.
I think she should go do porn.
Okay, you need.
And then he says that, which is, like, I can sort of see the line of thinking that he's got to say this. He's talking about free will and heart agency. It's just a completely inappropriate thing to say, though. This is an example of concreteness. I don't think he's deliberately trying to be as crude and perverse as possible. I think he's talking in extreme concreteness right now. I think he just went straight from free will to what someone would do with their free will if they were using it. And he just went to the most extreme example possible to make a point, and it was a shit point, and the policeman's having none of it. Let's listen to that again.
She's being controlled by him.
That's fine. That's fine. That's her choice, right? Free choice, free will.
I think she should go do porn.
Okay, you need to leave.
It's legal.
You need to leave.
And he's talking about the legality of it now, so he's just slipping from one thing to another. He's talking about free will, and then he's talking about the legality of it. It doesn't make any sense to do that. These are really loose associations. He's not capable really of abstract thinking at the moment in this conversation. He's sticking to the most concrete level, and he's just pushing it, and the policeman's getting fed up with it. It just makes no sense to him.
Well,
we're not doing anything. You need to leave.
I'm having a discussion on...
I'm having a discussion telling you to leave.
Are you threatening me with arrest?
I'm not threatening you. I'm telling you to leave.
This is another thing that comes from audit channels. Whenever you're instructed to do something by the police, it can't be enforced unless you're suspected of a crime, in which case they can arrest you. That's why this is going on. This is why he's taking the conversation in this direction.
This is a public property.
We're done. Well, you can stay if you want.
Yeah, it's a public place, so I have freedom of movement. I can go wherever, I can stay. So the policeman told him, get to fuck, and he observed, after watching auditing channels, that he's free to move wherever he wants. He's not actually under arrest, he's not being detained. So they have no power to, unless they suspect him of a crime, they can't detain him and restrain his movement. So that's why it's like he's going through the steps of how these conversations happen. And this is usually when policemen are overstepping their powers, that the conversation will go this way, and then the policeman will have to pull back. But in this case, it's really this guy who's on the wrong footing here, and he's still trying to stand his ground using those dialogue trees that usually happen. It's funny to see this. It's actually really weird to see a schizophrenic person, ostensibly a schizophrenic person, relatively successfully handling these conversations with police.
Discussion on...
I'm having a discussion telling you to leave.
Are you threatening me with arrest?
I'm not threatening you. I'm telling you to leave.
This is a public property.
We're done. Well, you can stay if you want.
If you do that on public property, I'll leave under...
You're free to do whatever you want to right here, but we're not doing anything else. I'm just giving you advice. If the girl doesn't want to talk to you, leave her alone.
You're not going to get...
What's her name?
And he's blurred out.
I will go speak with her, and then we will go HOLMS.
Yes, like Sherlock Holmes.
And what's your name?
Jacob Yerkes, Yerkes. Kes.
Jacob.
The policeman asked him for ID, and I think he would have refused to give it, but when he's just in the flow of the conversation, he divulges his name, which is something I think he would have been inclined to avoid doing, because he's watched a lot of these audit videos.
Yerkes?
Yes, sir.
You have a phone number where I can reach you?
865.
He's given up all of his details.
Okay, I will go speak with her and see what her side of the story is, and then I'll get back in touch with you. But
May I get y'all's names and badge numbers, please?
I'm Reagan. I'm Sergeant Reagan.
And this is something that audit channels always do as well, especially after a bad interaction. So he's really watched a lot of these videos, so he's really anti-authority and paranoid. I think this makes me think he's a paranoid schizophrenic. The fact that he's watched a lot of these things and he likes them. He's anti-authority and he's really suspicious and paranoid.
Day shift supervisor, number 429.
Yes, sir.
I'm just guessing.
My advice to you is leave her alone, because the father's not happy, and things can happen, unfortunately.
I think she's been controlled all of her life, though.
Well, she may be, but that's her choice. Free will, right? But you said free will?
Yeah, kind of, I guess. I mean,
does she not have free will?
Kinda, I guess. I mean,
Will to be controlled by her father if she wishes?
Yeah, but there's something twisted about that.
There's something twisted about the way you think it.
I was going to let her make her own choice
Absolutely.
after the song.
Well, she's made her choice.
And I just don't think she had a reasonable opportunity to make a choice, because I'm going to blow up and I'm going to be a famous DJ and I'm going to be like...
How old is she?
I'm going to blow up, I'm going to be a famous DJ. So that's Delusions of Grandeur there. Another one.
2 years older than me. 27.
How much?
27?
She's old enough to make her own mind. I'll speak with her. Is she working today?
I think so.
Do you have her phone number?
I believe so. But I can't stop recording the video.
Well, that's okay. I'll go by her job. She works at Cracker Barrel, right?
Correct.
That's another auditing thing. You want an unbroken stream of video. You don't want to interrupt it. It's a better record for yourself if you never stop the recording for whatever reason, because then you know nothing's happened when the camera's been off. Nothing can be made up. Nothing can be alleged. It's all there. So that's another thing. He doesn't actually really have a reason to keep the camera on here. He's just lifting again from the audit channels.
Okay, I'll speak with her and then I'll get back with you, okay?
Alrighty, sounds
All right,
good.
no
Thank you
problem.
guys.
And this is what those audit channels do as well. They walk around with forward-facing camera. They just walk through places that are tenuously publicly accessible to see where the line is.
Oh shit. You know what?
And this is another thing. He's just made the atrocious decision of having a really precarious interaction where he might come off really badly, because obviously he doesn't do this much and he isn't good at it, and he's uninhibited and his decision making's bad, and he's decided to turn the camera on himself after doing all this without hitting stop, so it's the same video file and everything, and now he's going to continue on. So it's really poor decision making, judgment. It's all impeded at the moment.
Lindsay's dad. I hope you see this fucking video. You know what happens when women don't ever, come to terms with themselves?
And this seems very fake as well. All these facial movements are really deliberate, self-conscious. So I think he might have like a blunted affect and he's trying to make up for it.
Bad shit happens.
This is all faked.
I don't know.
And what he just said there could be construed as a threat as well.
Something the cops want to deny me trying to get her to be straight. Something is wrong about that. I don't see why these
More delusional thinking here.
traditional ass motherfuckers think they can speak shit whenever it's this woke belligerent LGBT shit that has her.
And that just doesn't make any sense there. He's the one presumably trying to enforce heteronormativity, but he's accusing them of being traditionalist. So it's completely backwards. It doesn't make any sense.
Right now. And her father is controlling the bullshit. I just don't see it. I'm older than her fucking father. That's how I feel.
That's impossible, because he said that she was older than him, and he just said that he's older than the person's dad, who he already claimed to be older than. So that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's another delusion.
Feel right now. I've lived this life. I've been the greatest. I've been down and I've been about.
More delusional thinking. It's not even figure of speech stuff there, because there's not a clear distinction. There's not even a clear distinction between a joke and when he's speaking literally. Usually when people joke about that stuff, they make the line clear so no one can get the wrong idea, but in this case it's all blurred.
I don't know where this is going, but fucking snakes, man. She was gonna lure me into a trap whenever I was gonna go, play a song for her. It's just how it is. But shout out to all my bros. I know that my dudes, I'm really getting depressed recently, you guys. I feel like,
And part of why he might be depressed is that all of his interactions with other people are dysfunctional. Like, he always fucks them up, and he's pushing people away by just creeping them out or making them get sick of his nonsense. and he feels isolated, and that's one of the symptoms of schizophrenia, social withdrawal, because I think a lot of them realise that their interactions with other people don't go well, so they pull back. And also, I think that's one of the things that are said in the Stamford lecture on schizophrenia, which is something that I'm going to be citing whenever I can. Schizophrenia, if that's indeed what's going on here, it's not so much a disease of thought disorder, it's a disease of social cohesion, the ability to integrate socially. So when someone's schizophrenic, the parts of their brain that are responsible for the ability to integrate socially are misfiring, not working properly. So it's more that than an actual disease of disordered thought. And he seems to describe it as being a bit of a misconception that that's what that is. Like, it's more all-encompassing than simple disorder of thought. It's disorder of ability to be a social organism.
Like, it's not faith in humanity.
So there was everything there, I think, pretty much. Like, I don't know, see if an actual trained psychologist or psychiatrist was to watch this and they were actually looking for it, I'm pretty sure a lot of them would come to the same conclusions, that the guy has a thought disorder, maybe even schizophrenic. They would see delusional... Like, it's one thing to just say something to yourself in front of the camera, but when you're saying it in front of other people, and even people that have a position of authority, like he said to the police that he was going to be a great DJ, the world's greatest DJ, or whatever the fuck nonsense it was that he said, it's clear then that he means what he says. He's not just tossing offhand comments as a joke. He actually means it. Let's look at this video now in response.
If I was to ever do a tier list of creepy guys on the internet, the guy I'm about to show you would be the undeniable, top-tier, triple S super smokin' style creep god. The individual you're about to see almost makes that guy that was sending pig carcasses to the coworker he loved seem sane. I know I've called...
So he's already mentioned sanity and it's under 20 seconds. Does he actually mean it? If he does mean that the guy is insane, then he's made a 12-minute video with 1 million views, gonna probably get millions more, that is laughing at a guy that's insane. Unless he's just joking about calling him insane, in which case he needs to pay better attention.
Called one other person in a video the creepiest guy ever, but the man I'm about to show you today, I think is far more disturbed, so much so that I'm actually somewhat concerned for the safety of the people around him. I'm sure you've seen this video.
I've just noticed that top video my recommended is Audit in Britain. That's one of the auditor channels that I watch. It's good, it's really funny stuff. I recommend it, absolutely. Look, I watched that whole video, 42 minutes.
Video floating around right now because it's going viral, and for good reason. It is scary.
The Cracker Barrel, and I was going to play a song for...
It's not really scary to me. Like, see, once I realised that this guy was not really operating at full capacity, like, he has diminished capacity and agency as a result of this. Like, his ability to actually form thoughts and follow through on plans is severely diminished. Once I realised that I wasn't watching someone that was fully present of mind and had the ability to plan things out, it just started to seem sad. There's a big difference between someone that has delusions and is saying things that are disturbing, that would normally be disturbing, and someone that is actually fully present, operating at full capacity, and is still making those statements. There's a big difference. It's like when a kid says something that's creepy or silly or dangerous versus an actual fucking adult. That's where it's like, that's the difference.
...for a woman that I kind of like. And I got there, and she saw me, and she immediately pulled away. And I wasn't forcing her to listen or anything, you know. I just wanted to play the song for her, you know, give her her own choice if she wanted to be with me.
Now I'll quickly bring you up to speed on what's happening right now with the lore. So the cops are there because the guy called them, I believe. So he's a...
Yep, so the decision making is just atrocious. Fucking hell.
Kaioken times 10 weirdo. He called the cops because he wanted to report this girl's dad, a girl that he chased around while playing his music to try and win her love. And his music is downright horrifying. It sounds like 5 trash cans being violently slammed together while someone's getting murdered in an alleyway for the vocals. I have been so deep in this rabbit hole learning about this.
that would maybe normally be funny, but in the current context, it just seems pretty sad. And this video just seems like cashing in on a guy that's vulnerable.
Man, it's been like an episode of Mike Rowe's Dirty Jobs, just gathering all this information. I'm gonna play you just a quick snippet from one of his tracks.
Fire sprout to the moon, to the top and grow! Let's come together now!
And I think this is like an album artwork from, I don't know if it's even an album, like he's just got this image on the track, presumably. And this is something that schizophrenics like. There's actually a name for this, but whenever you have bright clashing colours, like Vincent van Gogh paintings, they tend to really like that shit. Like, they like those spiral patterns, what do you call them? Fractals. Like, they like moving fractals that have bright colours, all this stuff. So that explains that, and also the shitty music. Maybe it sounds good to him, I don't know. Something that schizophrenics actually do well is art, in terms of, like, visual art and also music. Like, I think there was a high-profile schizophrenic rock artist that killed his mum and then killed himself. I'd have to look that up and link it, but that's one of the most high-profile schizophrenics. He either killed himself or he killed a relative or he killed both. Like murder-suicide, I can't remember. But there are a few famous schizophrenics and a lot of them are musicians.
The voice of an angel. I can't believe this plan didn't work. It's so romantic it sounds straight out of a Disney film. He also keeps saying he was giving her a choice to listen to his music and fall in love with him. Even though there's no choice here because he was stalking her and chasing her, playing this over his fucking boombox, I guess. But anyway, she was so frightened that she ended up calling her dad, and her dad got in contact with him and said some mean things to him. So the guy then called the cops on the...
Yeah, so the dad maybe knows that the guy has issues. Maybe she explained to her dad that he's not all there. I think what you would do if you're being stalked is you would actually call the police. I don't think you would just send them a courtesy call telling them to fuck off, which seems to have been what happened in this case. It seems like they wanted to avoid taking this to the police because I think they know that this guy is not the full shilling. Like, he's not got everything going on. So they tried to deal with this in whatever way they could. If they considered him to actually be a threat, they would have surely called the police.
The dad, hoping to, like, get him arrested or file something against him.
You know?
Does she know you?
Yeah, I worked with her there for like 5-6 months.
Did y'all have a relationship?
No, we were talking a little bit, but it never really got serious.
Okay.
But anyways, I pulled up there, and I was in the other parking lot, and I saw her get in her car, and I was like, oh shoot, it's my moment. So I pulled up there next to her, and she pulled away from me, and so I chased her a little bit, just because, I don't know, women are crazy. Like, I felt like she, like, wanted me to chase her.
Do you not think chasing somebody's crazy?
Well, it's just like, I only went like a couple blocks down the street.
God, it's so sad that women can't appreciate a good, nice guy like this. Women are so weird. How can they not appreciate a complete psychopath chasing them around for a few blocks while blaring music that sounds like the soundtrack to a slaughterhouse?
Just say it.
It doesn't sound like a psychopath to me. He sounds like he's got extremely poor judgment. He's trying to do an audit, but he's incriminating himself with everything he says. He's making terrible decisions the entire time he's pursuing this fucking chick. He couldn't be doing any more badly. He's too incompetent to be an effective psychopath, pretty much.
Hey, don't you think chasing somebody's crazy when they obviously don't want to?
Well, I had my song playing, and I wanted to, like, her to hear it, maybe.
Apparently she didn't want to hear it, right? So what else happened? Let's get on with these.
His complete lack of remorse and disconnection from reality is startling.
Yeah, exactly. So he's acknowledged it again. He said within the first 20 seconds about sanity, and now he's talking about disconnection from reality. So it's like he's just going around the fucking elephant in the room without actually acknowledging the possibility that he might actually be mentally ill. He's not willing to actually address it directly. He's just tiptoeing around it, alluding to it constantly. I think either he knows or he's just fucking extremely shockingly naive.
Oh no, it's not weird. Like, I'm not weird. Why are you trying to say that I'm the crazy one for chasing her? I had my song playing. Oh, did I forget to mention that? My song was
This guy's too much of an incisive comedian, observational comedian character to not have picked up on the fact that this guy is obviously mentally ill.
playing, so now everything's justified. Like, I wanted her to hear it so she'd have a choice to fall in love with me, obviously.
Her father called me up and he made some threats to me and to my life.
Okay.
And so I just want to have his name on file.
What did he say to you?
I think he said he's gonna stab me, like, but he's like cussing at me.
He said that, or he did say that?
He says I'm gonna do something to you. I swear I do something to you.
For chasing his daughter?
Yeah, but it wasn't chasing. It was like going down a couple streets. Like, that's like fun to women. Like, women like that. A little bit of excitement.
No, they don't.
Fucking unhinged logic. No, I wasn't chasing her. It was like minor stalking. You know, that's nothing. Women love to be.
Yeah, because that's the thing. He actually doesn't think he's done anything wrong here. He's not. This is another thing that I've noticed with schizophrenics. They don't really empathise with people when they're pointing out that they've done something wrong. They try and make out it's the other person that's got the wrong idea. They just don't understand. You could be explaining 2 + 2 = 4 to a schizophrenic person, and they can just be like, no, you don't understand, you don't get it. If you look at it this way, it actually equals 5 if you're not adding it properly.
Stalked. Like, it's fun to them. It's exciting. God, what an absolute lunatic. So yeah, the dad calls, apparently made threats against him because I'm assuming his daughter called him in a panic, like, holy shit, this guy's coming after me, and I'm fucking horrified. So the dad is trying his best to, like, stop anything bad from happening, so I'm sure the dad in this, like, passionate moments like, leave her the fuck alone, or I'm gonna do something about it, I'll give you a knuckle sandwich, why I oughta. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all, to try and protect his daughter, keep her safe, doing what he can from a distance, like, get the fuck away from her, you creep.
Well,
Women don't like to be chased.
what about like
If I was a
porn?
father, I'd probably tell you the same thing.
What about like BDSM porn, where women like to have rape fantasies?
Well, apparently this girl doesn't.
Well, who knows? Most women do like having rape fantasies.
It took us only about a minute for him to start mentioning rape after talking about stalking and, you know, downplaying how stalking's not a big deal.
Exactly, his judgment is absolute dog shit. He's obviously extremely compromised and encumbered.
Immediately brings it to BDSM and rape fantasies. From fucking out of nowhere. Oh, you're gonna call me crazy for chasing her? Well, what about rape? You know, there's the rape fantasies in porn, what about that, And then he has the gall, the chutzpah to say most women have a rape fantasy. It's blowing my mind here, this guy's thought process. Fucking crazy. I'm also 100% sure he's never had an actual conversation with a woman. When he mentioned at the beginning they were kind of talking, I imagine it's because they were co-workers, and she said, like, hi to him occasionally, or like...
Yeah, of course, and he's currently trying to interact with her because there's absolutely no one else, because probably his entire family and all his friends have just given up on him and his bullshit, which is quite common, I think.
While they were working, were like, hey, need to do this. And that, to him, was like meaningful interaction with a human female. This is like a...
Yeah, because guess what? He's probably schizophrenic, and everyone tries to get away from him, especially when he's unmedicated.
Scary individual. His brain immediately jumps to rape when confronted with his actions.
Okay, do you think she does?
I don't know, but
Apparently she don't.
well,
So what do you want us to do?
I just want you to get his name on file, just in case he does do anything
do
to
you
me.
know his name?
I know his daughter's name.
What do you know his name?
I know her name. I don't know his name.
The guy just staring again, like he just glances over to his partner.
And he called me from a restricted phone number.
Okay. Here's my suggestion. Leave her alone.
A great suggestion from the officer here. Superb. Just get the fuck away from her. Leave her alone. Solves all the issues here. Case closed. Didn't even need Dr. Phil on this one to get to the bottom of it. The solution was obvious. Just get away from her.
Well, this is one song I made, and this was the final chance I was going to have.
Here's my chance. Here's my advice. It's over. Leave her alone.
Okay.
Fathers will hurt you over their daughters.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is she needs to have her own free will, man. You don't understand. I'm a man myself, bro, and I have needs myself.
She's choosing her free will by telling her daddy what happened to you, and I'm telling you, stay away from her because he will hurt you probably.
She's being controlled by him.
For some reason, he's so delusional, he keeps thinking that she does.
Delusional, he's hit on it again.
Doesn't have her own authority to make her own choices, yet keeps saying she needs her own free will. She had her own free will by running away from you. By, like, being scared of you, running away, and then telling her dad that is her making choices to try and protect herself from you. Because you are the threat. You're the fucking danger that's knocking on her door, and she is responding with her own free will of getting the fuck away from you as fast and efficiently as possible. It's just such a scary thought process because in his mind, he's totally justified in everything that happened here, and it's all...
Yeah, of course, because he's mentally ill, he's not got judgment, he's completely compromised.
All normal to him. And the fact that she's not in love with him right now, not in his arms, in his bed, is because her dad is forcing her to make choices to split the two apart. It's not her making those choices because he's perfect. The guy with his music, his mixtape that sounds like 5 fucking squirrels being blown to pieces, he thinks his music's the best and he's the best man in the world, so there's no way she is choosing on her own free will to not be with him. That...
Yeah, this is called delusional thinking. It's clinical symptoms of schizophrenia, thought disorders.
is a dangerous thought process.
That's fine, that's fine.
It's not dangerous, it rarely results in harm. It's just a delusion.
That's her choice, right? Free
Well,
choice, free will?
I think she should go do porn.
Okay, you need to leave.
It's legal.
You need to leave.
Well,
We're not doing anything, you need to leave.
I'm having discussion on...
I'm having a discussion telling you to leave.
I actually appreciate how the officer handles this situation here. He's not giving this guy an inch. He is fighting him on every point he tries to make. Not that any of his points have any logical basis whatsoever or any sound.
Yeah, when schizophrenics are in mental wards, they don't have anyone fight them on their points. They just have them there to get them to take their pills and recover so they can start thinking properly again. It's a fucking waste of time to try and actually take on a fucking schizophrenic on their logic when their brain isn't using logic to produce those thoughts. Just a complete waste of time. It just causes them to get distressed, which makes them more likely to take longer to emerge from their mental state and their episode. So it's completely futile. Obviously he's got to do that there to assess the situation, but if this guy got institutionalised and was deemed to be schizophrenic and in need of being medicated, none of the people there administering the medication would spend any time whatsoever actually fighting him on his points. They would just nod their head and smile as long as he takes his fucking pills.
Reasoning, but I like that the officer's pushing back on everything, and he crosses a line when he says she should do porn. Where does that even come from? Like, everything this guy is saying is a joke.
It's called tangential thinking. It's a loose association. There's a very loose association there that you can draw if you can find it, and I explained it.
Giant red flag, and he needs legitimate help.
I was going to let her make her own choice after the song.
Well, she's made her choice.
And I just don't think she had a reasonable opportunity to make a choice, because I'm going to blow up, and I'm going to be a famous DJ, and I'm going to be like...
How old is she?
He still really believes that because she didn't finish listening to his song, she didn't have the right to say no. She didn't have reasonable basis for declining and rejecting him, I suppose. He believes he's gonna blow up and be a famous DJ or this and that, thus she's making a huge mistake and needs to reconsider the choice, and her dad's making her choose this. It's fucking terrifying.
Oh, shit. You know what? Lindsay's dad, I hope you see this fucking video.
Now, just like in The Dark Knight, we have the Joker turning the camera on himself here, and we get to take a look at him. And he really still believes everything he's done is justified, and that the girl...
Yep, he's not trying to cover anything up, he's not guilty, he's just doing what he thinks is right.
girl and her dad are the villains here.
You know what
Deluded.
happens when women don't ever, you know, come to terms with themselves? Bad shit happens. I don't know. Something the cops want to deny.
And this right here I think should be taken very seriously. This is not a mentally well person, and
Exactly, he's finally just said it.
this comes across as an actual threat against the safety of both the girl and her father here. He's already shown
says
that
it
he
right
has
then.
no problem stalking women, and I really think this needs to be looked at seriously to make sure that he's not in a position to do harm to anyone around him. It's just very concerning.
Alright, let's go to the part that's relevant to that.
Last couple of features of it. One is the notion that, of course, schizophrenia has something to do with violence. Everybody knows that there is the scenario lurking out there that occurs endless number of times, which is you have some psychiatrically unstable individual turning out to have schizophrenia who winds up doing something horribly violent, the danger of schizophrenics cracking and going postal, and every now and then something like that happens. 20 years ago, there was a horrifying incident at Berkeley, a student there who was schizophrenic and probably should not have been there at the point because he was not well medicated. Something cracked and he took a bunch of Berkeley students, women, hostage in a bar in Berkeley, did all sorts of horrific sexually abusive things there before he killed himself after killing a few of them. This is what happens when something like that occurs with a schizophrenic. Oh my God, so we've got all these people running around where that could be happening any second. Schizophrenics are far less dangerous than are normal individuals in society. The rates of violence are extremely low, with one exception, which is schizophrenics being violent in damaging themselves, self-injury.
So that sums that up.
Me trying to get her to be straight. Something is wrong about that. I don't see why these traditional ass motherfuckers think they can speak shit whenever it's this woke belligerent LGBT shit that has her right now. I just don't see it. I'm older than their fucking father.
Does this guy seem threatening to you? Does this guy remind you of people that are dangerous, aggressive, harmful, violent? It doesn't even have the ability to conquer his beard. He's not someone that I would consider to be dangerous. He just seems kind of goofy.
That's how I feel right now.
Yeah, this rant's really going off the fucking rails. So apparently the girl isn't interested in men, and his plan was to make her interested in men by giving her his love as well as letting her listen to his songs. And when she still wasn't interested, she blames the dad. Like, the dad is the one that's made his daughter not like him, and then says that he is older than her dad. Like, it's so fucking wild. But it is all very concerning to listen to. I just wanted to share this because I do think this is the creepiest guy I've seen online so far, and
It doesn't seem creepy to me. See, when I first heard him speak, I skipped forward into the video, and I heard one of his sentences that in any other context, any other person saying it would have been really alarming. But when I heard the way he speaks and saw the, what do you call it again? The cognitive slippage, I realised what was actually going on, and it just completely diffused him in my mind.
I truly hope that everyone involved here is safe, and hopefully this guy gets the help that he very much needs.
I don't know, seeing people say things like this, I don't know if they're saying this in a backhanded way, like, you're fucked up, fuck you, or in the actual sincere way of, you have a clinical diagnosable condition that I see the symptoms of, and I hope that you get it dealt with so that you can be better off. It's hard to know. It shouldn't be hard to know what people mean when they say that, but in the context of this video and the way he's talked about him so far, I think it's the former, where it's just, you're fucked up, fuck you, I hate you. Alright, so that's the end of this.
Anyway, that's about it. See ya.
So that was a bit of a shit video. I don't think he really made any observations that I would have made. I don't think he really had much insight here. He was covering this in a really superficial, cash-in kind of way. But if you want to go deeper in, this guy's actually got a YouTube channel, and he's picking up subscribers because people are aware of this, and you can actually see into his mind and see what he actually thinks. And one of my observations was to go down here and see the titles of his videos. There's one here called Expecto Metronome, And that is a reference to Harry Potter, Expecto Patronum, the Patronus charm from Harry Potter. And what he's done here is something called clanging. In psychology and psychiatry, clanging or clang association refers to a mode of speech characterized by association of words based upon sound rather than concepts. For example, this may include compulsive rhyming or alliteration without apparent logical connection between words. This is associated with irregular thinking apparent in psychotic mental illnesses, for example mania and schizophrenia. Gustav Aschaffenburg found that manic individuals generate these clang associations roughly 10 to 50 times more than non-manic individuals. Aschaffenburg also found that the frequency of these associations increased for all individuals as they became more fatigued. So that's what we have here. As soon as I saw this, I knew what this was. So what he's done here is he's taken Harry Potter, he's observed a metronome, he's changed metronome into metronome, and he's tried to connect it to Harry Potter. So these are completely inappropriate connections. There's no reason to draw these whatsoever, but he's done it anyway. Not only has he done that in his head, which is something that wouldn't really happen for me, but he's actually decided that it has enough significance to it that it's worth making it into a video and uploading it to YouTube for other people to observe. And it's good that he's done that because it's a clinical sign of schizophrenia and similar thought disorders. So that was a year ago, that was a year and a half ago, so that means that at least 18 months ago he was manifesting symptoms of schizophrenic type thought. I'm not going to go too much into this, that was just one that I observed, and it's significant that it was so long ago. And then we're going to go further up. So here is the colourful, the thing that I was talking about, the Vincent van Gogh paintings, the bright colours. I've not clicked on this yet. Sanity is insanity, so he's already making references here to his own mental state pretty much, because that's what you see here. Did he draw this? I don't know. Dubstep. I don't know if he drew this, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. This is the kind of thing that schizophrenic people draw and like and are interested in. Alright, next up. What the hell is this? This reminds me of a track from FIFA, Gasolita. It is. Gasolita. Yeah, I remember that being in a FIFA game. Don't know what this is though. This is just a shitty video with some images. Glory to his name. So religious thinking, Messiah complex, that's another one. Let's see if even atheists that have psychotic episodes or that manifest latent schizophrenia, they tend to become religious. So what the fuck? So he's definitely creative. Floki, so that's Norse mythology now. So it's not even like a sincere religious conviction, it's just an interest in the religious and the occult in general. It doesn't really matter if there's actual conviction involved, it's just whether it's interesting and it stimulates the brain. That's why they attach to this kind of stuff. The Aesir, that is the afterlife, isn't it? The Aesir. Afterlife chaser. Let's have a look. No. Aesir chaser, so someone that chases deities. Yeah, Norse. The gods. Yeah, of course, the Aesir. Remember that from Vikings. League of Legends is this. Yeah, garbage. Next. Alright, I'm gonna go to this here. No, this one. But yeah, look at the colours here. So this is it. This is really, really obvious schizophrenia here. It's like you've got... So they see themselves, and then they see the rest of the universe, the firmament, and whilst this is the kind of thing though. It's about enlightenment, transcendence. It's like if they figure out the right things, think about it in the right way, they'll achieve it. They'll break through. That's the kind of it's kind of like how stoners and trippers think. It's similar to that. If they just think about the right things, figure out the right stuff, notice the right patterns, they'll eventually get there. It's like they're on a journey, pretty much. Let's have a look at the sound. The death metal drop had me in tears. Oh my god. Hardest shit ever heard. Is this what I made for her? Oh man. Fuck's sake, no wonder she ran away. What a mess. Alright, listen to this one now. Yeah, this one.
Rights to audio and video photography. Welcome back to the channel. I am here at the Knox County Clerk's Office, and today we're going to see if they respect our rights to audio and video photography.
Yeah, this is PINAC, photography is not a crime. This is a predecessor to the whole YouTube auditing movement. That's how it started out, photography is not a crime. And they picked up the mantle and are continuing it. So he's lifting it from that. Like, there's all these dead giveaways that he watches these audio channels and he's trying to copy them here.
It is 3 o'clock. Sunny, it's around 70 degrees. I'm going to take a quick stroll around the building. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the main building for all.
There's another one of these audio channels that I'll watch. This is a good one. Power to the Proletariat. It's a really good one.
All business in Knoxville. It's here in Cedar Bluff, but pretty sure
Right,
it's
let's fast forward.
the big one. So we're
Alright,
gonna
so here's where the confrontation
healthy
begins.
for you, and then make it horrible for you. So I just don't know what to trust anymore.
Yeah, he's unsure of who to trust, that's another thing. Who to trust, who's out to get me. What should I actually believe? Like, it's all really loose. They're easily shaken.
And
I want to hear what he says though.
you know, it's like the government will take something that's relatively healthy for you and then make it horrible for you. So I just don't know what to trust anymore.
This is another thing about schizophrenics that are paranoid and have these kinds of conspiracies. Like, see if there is actually something to any given conspiracy, you can always rely on these people to be the first ones to actually call out and draw attention to it. It's the broken clock phenomenon, and these guys are always the first ones to pick up on it. It's like the character Truth from GTA San Andreas. That's what these guys are like. Like, they just get it right by accident and are the first ones to ever pay attention to it. Alex Jones.
But we're gonna see what happens right now, and see if people really care about the law.
The law.
So we're gonna go in there. Let's see if they respect.
Look, I'm hyping himself up. He's got to do that because he doesn't do this much. He's got to get pumped up.
Hello.
Got to prepare. Copper's just looking at her like, what's going on with this guy? They're just looking at each other. He doesn't know what to do, he doesn't know where to go. He really doesn't know what to look for. He's really not done this before. These kinds of videos are really interesting when people do them properly. This guy doesn't do it properly though. He's not present-minded enough.
Oh, okay. Is this accessible to the public right here?
Only if they're going to driver's license. If they're not going to the driver's license section, then no.
They have
It depends. Did you see a sign that said it wasn't? This is the thing where he's doing the whole auditor thing.
to schedule an appointment to be back here?
No, they just have to wait their turn.
Okay. I wasn't sure if this was publicly accessible.
Oh, he's given up already. Like, he doesn't know. He just doesn't know. He's just making up as he goes along.
Or not.
It is if the public's turn to go through.
Okay. Maybe I was misunderstood.
That's funny. The policeman just follows him in, gets him out. Takes 2 seconds. Doesn't know what he's doing.
Because
You just can't wander in the back though where the clerks are working without having a reason to be back there because they're working.
well,
And they've got people's personal information on the screens.
that's their job to keep that information private, though.
Yeah, that is true. That said, GDPR. There's a reasonable expectation of privacy. But if he's wandering around where he shouldn't be, that doesn't matter. That would be like breaking in at night and recording everything with your camera when everyone's sleeping. That wouldn't mean that they're breaking GDPR because you're doing something completely unreasonable there. They've taken reasonable steps to protect the data. So he's getting this all wrong. Like, he's already conceded that he shouldn't be there by coming out here. Like, he was pulled out successfully, so he's conceded that he shouldn't be in there, and he's still trying to argue GDPR when he shouldn't be. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense what he's saying.
Mine too, which is why you're not going back there.
But I'm pretty sure that's a violation of the First Amendment because this is public property, and I paid for this building.
Okay, well you can work with that if you like to.
I don't know. First Amendment is about freedom of speech, freedom to record. He's not really been pulled up on whether he can record. He's been pulled up on where he can go at the moment, so he's getting this wrong as well.
But you're still not going back there.
But that's a violation of the First Amendment.
Okay, you're still not going back there.
Can I get your name and badge number?
Sure, it's 8.
This guy's so nice.
Flankers.
Okay. I'll be writing a complaint against you
Okay, good.
for your inability to comply with the law.
Great.
Got anything to say for yourself?
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
That's so good. That was such a shitty, fucked up interaction. He's just laughing at him. Fucking hell. Doesn't know what he's doing there. Completely deluded. That is
That
delusions
was,
of grandeur there.
Unsuccessful. I really do
Yeah,
feel like
you think.
he's in the
Fuck's
wrong
sake.
right there, and that we are allowed to go back there. If
Go
we
on, then
weren't
argue
allowed
it.
to go back there, people wouldn't be going back there.
Yeah, but you failed to argue that. You gave up. You folded because you didn't know what the hell you were doing. Because you were deluded
So we're
enough
gonna
into
hang around
thinking that
here.
you could do
I
that.
really, you guys, I don't know if you're gonna do anything, but just that's some bullshit, man. I don't know what to tell him back. Sometimes I'm just like, the fuck.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and say that shit and then expect it to be right. Because he's not right. I should have brought it to the level under threat of arrest. Then you're.
If there was a sign there, I think he would have pointed out. Like, I think this guy could have pushed back on that policeman there. He just didn't have what it took and just gave up. Which is to be expected when someone is mentally impaired by mental illness and their thoughts are disordered and they have trouble just making sense in a normal situation, never mind an escalated confrontational one.
You're gonna transfer me off this premise. That's what I should have done, but it's okay.
I think that's it though. Well, let's. I've not seen this yet. Actually, I've not seen this. Let's have a look at this.
I got copies of everything. And I'm not my letter.
Again, this guy is not dangerous. He's not aggressive. He's so passive.
Hi, can I
Hello.
help you?
No. I'm just recording a video.
Okay, I need to ask you to leave, please.
I'm not going to. This is my building. I paid for it.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Is
So?
that a problem?
No.
Something I can help you with?
No.
A question
I'd like
I
you
can
to leave me alone.
Oh, okay.
He's actually handled this one well. He did well here. He's actually done well. Like, this is what I'm saying about broken clock phenomenon. He didn't say anything wrong here. He handled this well, and now she doesn't know what to do. I'm assuming that there isn't a sign that says no entry. Like, there it is there. So he is allowed to be where he is right now because that no entry sign would be further back. but because the no entry sign is on that door, he's allowed to walk around here all he wants. Like, he should have been more clear, I think, maybe why he's doing this. He should have explained, this is a publicly accessible area, I'm allowed to walk here, this is paid for by my taxes, I'm just recording, it's in public interest, I record what I see and find interesting. But he's been a bit, abrupt, terse, so she's maybe feeling a bit uneasy at the moment. She doesn't need to. I think he could have handled this more gracefully, but he's done well. Like, I've got to give him credit when he's done well. I've not seen this before. Oh my god, see, she's just left him alone. Like, he actually nailed that there. Oh my god. She's maybe going to get help though. But that was really funny. It just shows that anyone can do this stuff.
So I'm going to staple this together. You've already signed both of them. So you'll bring this back whenever you're ready to pay, okay?
Okay, because it's what? You're about
And you can see why these videos are entertaining if you're not familiar with these kinds of videos, auditor videos. Because interactions like this happen, except they're way better than this. See, civilians are just walking past. He doesn't look a threat, he doesn't look dangerous. He's just a goofy guy with mental illness going about his silly shenanigan business. He's just getting up to silly bullshit because he's seen it on YouTube and thinks it's interesting. Like, he likes seeing people stand up to authority.
I've been thinking about is that legality does not define morality. So I think a lot of people here probably feel uncomfortable, but
yeah, true.
They're not in their right to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, they are. What the fuck? People can be uncomfortable all they want. See, that's something that you can maybe put down to an inability to empathise that might be typical of a thought disorder like schizophrenia there. Like, I think they have low empathy. Like, they can't really place themselves in other people's positions because they don't have the ability to think in the ways that other people think in terms of abstraction. So he's got everything really rigid and concrete, and that precludes allowing other people to be uncomfortable.
They're not in their right to be uncomfortable. At the same time, I don't like doing that, but at the same time, people don't respect my feelings in the world, so why should I respect theirs? The law is all that matters.
No, it's not. He's really externalizing.
And I do this for you guys to keep your guns. A lot of people here in Tennessee are
keep your guns. So that's a really loose association, I think, again. Like, he's made a connection between the Second Amendment and the First Amendment. Like, what he views himself as doing right now is First Amendment. He's already made that clear. That's what he thinks this is, and now he's just jumped to Second Amendment. Doesn't make any sense. Loose associations.
Avid of their gun rights, but they're not very avid of the one that comes before that right.
Yeah, see, the way they were associated there wasn't right. It's not how people think. Like, he jumped to the Second Amendment just to jump back to the First Amendment for no reason. There was no reason to invoke the Second Amendment there. Or gun rights, as he put it.
When I came, I had to give him a letter that I was getting so much money.
And he's waiting to be confronted again, I think, but no one wants to. He's been left alone. Like, no one's came. Like, he handled the woman, and it went fine. And he's turning the camera away. Because he's not aggressive and confrontational, you can tell. This guy is... I don't get the idea that this guy's dangerous. Oh. He's just goofy. He even uploads it all to YouTube,
well, you guys,
so you can
that
see.
was pretty unsuccessful. I wasn't even allowed to go into the county clerk's office. They violated my First Amendment right. and
What?
we're going to write a complaint up against them and come back here at another time. And
You're
see
right, are you
if
fucked?
maybe they change their minds. Maybe they will.
Bullshit. Oh my god. Interior of the clerk's office is not a public forum. It's not the same as public forum, sidewalk, park, plaza. Viewers' courts of ruled interior of government buildings are non-public forums. That means they can restrict your right to film. Now, anywhere that's publicly accessible, and everywhere he went there was publicly accessible, he's allowed to record there. Courtroom can be off limits when a judge decides that, but a building, if it receives in public funding, cannot be restricted to the public. Yeah, there's a word for that. It's a byway, I think they call it. So if you have public access, you can walk there. If you can walk there, you can record there. And they're all arguing about this. So it seems like they were eager to just take the opposite position to him, and they don't mind being wrong when they do that. For this specimen, go listen to all of my music. If you're going to bitch about me doing this for exposure, I'd rather not do this, but because I'm transphobic, I'll never be accepted into the electronic dance music scene, so that's just nonsense. It's nonsense, see that? You were not wronged, my dude. What's wrong and what's right? Words again, focusing on the words. Absolution on people's Second Amendment, but their First Amendment is questionable. Everyone is a reptile to an extent. The law is the bottom line, morality being defined by legality. Can you expand further on this? Everyone's a reptile to an extent. What the fuck? See, like, that's it. See, when they write, that's when it gives it away. And then people don't get what's going on at all. They don't understand it. Alright, let's look at some examples of his writing. So, here is the description of his video that he wrote. What is it about dogs chasing cats? Protection of one's woman supersedes the law, which I originally had no protection on the woman I loved when the law got involved and should have taken matters into my own hands, like the cops defended in this video. So that's a really nonsense sentence. I think he might be connecting stuff there that shouldn't be connected. I just want to discuss even further on this. Men are constantly putting themselves in states of discomfort. What I mean by equal voting rights. He's talking about voting rights now. There's no reason to talk about voting rights. What I meant by equal voting rights is that men don't vote. What I meant by equal fighting rights is that women go to war and evolutionise muscles, while handsome men get to stay home. Yeah, and there's more of this that I remember seeing. Alright, so here is a comment chain where he's responded and he's got his writing, and that really gives it away. What you need to do is leave her the hell alone. I'm surprised that cop didn't pepper spray you. If you're depressed, go talk to someone and get better. But chasing this girl is not healthy or smart to do. Will lead to someone getting hurt bad, never ends well. Just cut off all communications with her and find another girl that will listen to your song. And then he said, this is why I think 80s were horrible. John Cusack holding the boombox outside a chick's window was weird as fucking creepy, as he should have been labelled as a predator. And this is not his thought. This is not his original thought. He's copied this and he's putting it there to try and sound profound. It had some significance to him, and he's basically just trying to converse. He's just trying to have a conversation with someone here, and he's trying to do it by just saying anything that he thinks can be meaningful. Like, he's trying to play the part of having a conversation with someone. Like, he's trying here, like, he's just making an effort to communicate. He's not trying to be argumentative or anything, he's just trying to converse here, and he can't do it. Also, The Prodigy has a music video from the 90s of just going to clubs and touching women without their consent. And he says, yeah, but bro, that shit's the movies, not real life. Lol, keep your head up, find a girl that will want to hear your song. Says that guy's trying to encourage him there, it's funny. And then he says, real life is most women who espouse feminists' beliefs have some kind of rape fantasy. BDSM is just honing on in the reptile part of the brain. Talking about the reptile part of the brain here, that still craves animalistic, she could have said yes or no. I don't vibe like that. Whatever I had done prior was inferior to this song to prove my worthiness to her. Let's wake up Ra from his slumber. Talking about Ra, so he's talking about the Egyptian pantheon now. He's talking about, like, he's making a connection with Egyptian mythology in the current conversation. That's another thing. Like, religious symbolism is a massive one, and he's just finding excuses for it. What do birds have to do with spiritual significance anyways? Elon won't one man get over it. So now he's talking about Elon, spiritual significance, birds, Ra. Ra is the god of... I know there's Isis, Osiris, important gods of Egyptian religion, deity of the suns. He's talking about the sun deity, and I think I remember seeing Egyptian mythology and some of his... Does that mean he actually drew those then? Where is it? Over here? Yep, the top left. Is that what I saw that I remember? LSD. I don't know if he drew this though. I don't know if he drew this. But yeah, Egyptian mythology, fucking colourful fractal art stuff, clanging, loose associations. He's obviously schizophrenic, or he's really adjacent to it. Equal rights, equal lefts. So this is... and this is the one that you hear in everyday colloquial speech, word salad. Unintelligible mixture of seemingly random words and phrases. And he is really getting there at some points. White men are king, black women are queen. See, like, he's got associations here that are... He's not actually talking about the semantic value, it's about words and words that are paired, words that are related to each other, words that, when they're put together, they make gibberish, but he's not using language in the way it's intended here. Alright, I need to have this now.
Things of that sort. So here's a standard sort of test you would give to someone if you think they're schizophrenic. You give them an association task. And you say something like, okay, can you tell me what do these things have in common? An apple, an orange, and a banana. And they'll say, all of them are multisyllabic words. You'll say, okay, well that's great, that's true, but anything else they have in common? Yep, all of them have letters that involved closed loops. Just getting caught up in the most concrete possible level of interpretations of it, not able to step back and do any sort of abstracting. You see this in all sorts of other ways. Therapist will meet the patient and say something like, so what's on your mind today? And they'll say, my hair, in this very literal sort of way. Or you'll say, can I take your picture, holding a camera? And they'll say, I don't have a picture to give you. This very literal sense again. Or things like, you would sit down as schizophrenic with a piece of paper and a pen and say, just as part of what we're doing here, can you write a sentence for me? Any sentence. And then you look at what they've written, which is a sentence for me, any sentence. And then you say, no, actually that's not what I mean. I mean, can you come up with a sentence, and when you've thought of that sentence, write it. And they'll write the word it, because they can't get out of the concreteness of saying, could you write a sentence? Can you write, a sentence? They're caught up in the concrete level of that. A way that always pops up, one of the classic types of tests that's done is called proverb tests. Proverbs, by definition, they are metaphorical, they are parables, they are abstract, and we all know intuitively that when you're talking about birds of a feather flock together, you're doing something sort of symbolic about the well-known homogamy of lips with and people and who they choose to marry and the similarities. Yes, birds of a feather flock together, it's talking about like tend to assort with like. Give proverbs to schizophrenics and they can't get out of the most concrete level of interpretation of it. So you sit them down and you say, okay, tell me what this means. A rolling stone gathers no moss. And we all know that people are on the move, don't make emotional connections, there's a detachment, whatever. And they're often saying, stones rolling down hills, It's very hard for plants to grow on them. It's very hard because the surface tends to be smooth, and then on top of it, if it's rolling, you got like this angular motion that will trip. So it's very hard for moss to grow on stones. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen that happen, and I've seen many stones, and on the most concrete possible level, incapable of pulling it back to the level of abstraction. Consistent feature of this. Here, a friend of mine who's a psychiatrist came up with what has to be one of the all-time great proverb tests for figuring out if someone has the remotest tendency towards schizophrenic concreteness. There was an abstract phrase, sort of proverb, that was very popular, that was very prevalent in the United States during World War II. It was up on posters in all the post offices, places like that, and it was a way of abstractly telling people, be careful the information you put in letters that you were sending off to loved ones who were off at war, because it may inadvertently wind up in the wrong hands and could carry information that could be extremely damaging to the war effort. Okay, do people know what it is? Loose lips sink ships. Loose lips sink ships, wonderfully abstract notion. Try sitting down a schizophrenic and saying, what does it mean when you say loose lips sink ships? And suddenly there's this imagery of ships being capsized by big lips coming out of the water and things of that sort, because it can only be dealt with on the very concrete level. What else? More symptomatology.
So that explains it. That explains the kind of thinking. And you can see that manifest in here. Let's find more. Alright, yeah, continuing from here. He says here, exactly, don't give a shit about the law. Bottom line is the law. I would give you eternal life, so you have to witness every horrible moment. He's talking about eternal life. Is this relating back to Ra? Shut the fuck up, Trump supporting, grab her by the pussy rapists. You already know these cops stood up for Trump saying that, as well as the song Baby It's Cold Outside. So this is just absolute nonsense. It's almost word salad. And everyone's getting upset with him because they don't understand that this is a guy that has a thought disorder, and that he's basically like a fucking Google chatbot, and they're all arguing with it. It's funny. I've been in this position and I've argued like this before, and it just seems silly now. The fact that he talks about Ra and Elon as well. Dude, you're going on about the sun god Ra and Elon or some shit when the comment's telling you to leave the poor and probably underage girl alone. See? They've realised. They haven't identified what it is, but they can see what's wrong with it. So, yeah. This has had 1 million views, probably more now.
If I was to...
And it just gets everything wrong, it seems to me. Yep, 1.3 million views. Gonna get more. Definitely gonna get more. And I commented on it and said, you shouldn't try to cash in on clear schizophrenia. The loose association and tangential thinking and cognitive slippage are obvious dead giveaways, even clear in writing and speech, and you can see his writing. You should understand these things before you attempt to cover this subject. Everyone should be familiar with this stuff in a society where this is common. This is like beating up a homeless person, and they're very often schizophrenic too. And that's what motivated me to make this video, because I don't know if anyone is actually going to address this from this perspective. I don't think anyone is, so I'm going to do it. And I did see some people comment on his video and say that it seems like he's mentally ill and he needs to get treatment, and that people are taking the wrong perspective on this and getting it wrong. It's like there's a lot of histrionics going on at the moment because of the subject matter and the kind of outrageous shit he says. But this is a thing. People that are thought disordered, they are outrageous bullshit machines. They are just pumping that shit out non-stop. They're coming up with that shit constantly and just fucking spurting out without a filter. They're uninhibited and unfiltered. Like, see this guy? I think I've seen worse than this guy, like, in my personal life in terms of fucking schizophrenics. I think this guy's mind is actually remarkably clean. Look, he gets smiles from people that interact with him. They think he's funny. This guy did as well, at least. So yeah, I think people have really got this wrong. And the creepiest guy I've ever seen thing is just laughable. Guy's a doofus. Fucking. I'd like to see how he emerges from this and how he turns out, and if he makes a video explaining himself and apologising or whatever, but for now, my money's on this guy just being like a possibly diagnosed, definitely currently unmedicated schizophrenic guy, or at the very least has a mild thought disorder that's influencing his behaviour and his thoughts and his speech, and that he isn't really creepy at all. Of course, when I first clicked on the video and listened to it, I thought, oh, that's fucking out. How the fuck can he say that? But the more I listened to him, the less creepy he seemed. If I was in the same room as that guy, I would just be laughing about the shit he says, because it's just mostly nonsense. That's what it should be taken as. Even if you grant that he's normally a weirdo or a bit of a misogynist or an incel or whatever, you can't establish that when he's at the very least likely suffering from a mental illness that's affecting his behaviour and his speech and his thoughts. So yeah, people are fixating on the wrong thing, and there's even people wishing death on the guy, which made me think people are just fucked. See, Americans, man, they're so messed up. See, because that guy's American, he's less likely to have that be treated and to emerge on the other side of it and be alright than if he was from a country like Scotland or Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark. Probably even some countries like fucking Cuba do a lot better with that mental health stuff. Every country has to figure out a way to deal with this stuff, and America doesn't deal with it. It just lets them become homeless and die of diabetes. And that's what happens. That's what's going to happen to this guy if everyone in his country treats him like this. Sad. You can have your own chapter on the DSM-6. Some people at least are alluding to it. Some people. But yeah, this video was shit. Shit video.